Okay, cheesecake. Like I said, most of the things is a take away for everybody except the main batter for which the eggless recipe will be given. It's a pretty much straightforward recipe. Instead of egg, there is curd, and the quantity is just up to use as per the recipe. And you're going to get like a proper cheesecake in eggless version as well, because it is the same recipe that is part of my long-term baking course, FOBMC version 2, the New York cheesecake one. And the egg version is what I am using for my patisserie as well. So there is no basic secret recipe. It's just that how the flavors are put together. So there is punch in all the 6 flavors. If you try with the exact measurements, and each of them are just going to be, screaming flavors as you eat, because all the 6 different flavors that we have tried and we are having it as part of the patisserie is like to the T about the flavors. So I'm really excited to share how I put that one batter into as many number of flavors. So obviously there is one catch, because the coffee, I really didn't want to add the coffee powder directly into the batter. You could do that, but then if the coffee, instant coffee powder, if it does not get combined into anything warm, then it doesn't get dissolved properly. And that solid bits of the instant coffee powder comes into you as you taste, and then there is a bit of bitterness. To avoid that, the coffee alone is a separate method where the seeping, so obviously there is cream. In the main batter, starts with the cream cheese, we beat, and then we add cream, which is the fresh cream, dairy cream, beat, sour cream. So sour cream that we use is to have the fresh cream and add some lime to it to just make it sour. And then we have sugar, and then we have the eggs. In place of that, you will use curd. The measurements will be shared. And then finally, we have the flour. So this is a sequence of making the cheesecake, the original version, the batter. And in place of that fresh cream that I said, the coffee version will have a fresh cream, which has been seeped with the coffee. So I will be microwaving or warming up the fresh cream and adding the instant coffee powder into the warm cream, and then mix it up. And that way that instant coffee powder gets dissolved fully. So making of the coffee alone will be a separate part. Making of all the other 5 flavors will be one major main batter, and then we will be dividing that to infuse the flavors in it. So I will be making all of them to show. So the first step is to have your cupcake liners, only because these are portion sized cheesecakes, and that is again a very cute version. Like usually it's like the bigger cheesecake and we sell them by wedges, but this is like quite easy for anybody to take in handy and then just scoop and eat. Is like the best find in our patisserie that puts the cheesecake into multiple flavors using the same single batter. So obviously they are cupcake liners. The simple paper cupcake liners are okay, or then if you have the sturdy ones is quite fine as well. And these are normal muffin trays or cupcake trays, which you may call it. Then the first step of cheesecake, if you are a first timer in making a cheesecake, then you know that the base layer will be a digestive biscuit mixed with a butter layer will be the base. And then we have the cheesecake coming on top of that. So that is ideally the case. Now, if you have made cheesecakes before, then you know that this is the digestive biscuit. Obviously, in India, using a Marie biscuit is fine, or a Nutri-Choice digestive biscuit is also quite okay. So now I have that, and then I have the butter, which I will be microwaving, making it into liquid, melting, and then adding it into the powdered digestive biscuit. And then we are just going to get a crumble, which I will press it to put inside the cheesecake tray. Okay, so I'm just going to send this out to microwave, which is the butter part. Now I have 2 other ingredients here, which is not in a transparent bowl. Sorry for that, but I think you should be able to see. Now this one is nothing but Oreo, processed Oreo biscuit. So I have the cookies and cream flavor as well, right? So for which I thought the base, if it is going to be the Nutri-Choice or a digestive biscuit, it is not going to be as flavorful. So I'm going to use Oreo, and this Oreo is processed with a cream in between. So you don't need additional butter to moisten it up. So you process one cookie and that will go into one cupcake as it is. And now the other one, in fact, has cocoa powder. So for the chocolate cheesecake, I will be using 10 grams of this after adding the butter. And then I will mix it up with the cocoa powder. And that way, that will make my base for the chocolate cheesecake much more chocolatey. So this is why I have the cocoa powder here. And that is why I have the Oreo biscuits processed. And for the rest of the other four, I will be using the digestive biscuit thing itself. Okay, so now I have the butter melted. So you have the melted butter like that. Okay, so now I'm just going to pour the melted butter. So because we work this from the patisserie, the weights is important. So there is consistent results that we'll be able to give every single time. So I also have a weighing scale. So I'm going to use 10 grams of this mixture to each liner. Okay, so now for Oreo, like I said, I don't need anything else, right? So onto the chocolates one, I'm using the weighing scale, and then I'm going to add 10 grams. I'm just going to use my finger and then just get the cocoa powder. It's just to add a bit of additional chocolate flavor. Okay, and I'll get this entire thing. And then it's going to be a bit dark, but hopefully you should be able to see. So into one, I'm going to add this entire digestive biscuits plus butter plus cocoa powder, and that will be the base for my chocolate cheesecake. Okay, and then I'm just going to use that is a 1/8 cup. You can use even anything that is flat. I'm just going to press it down and make it flat. Sides. So I'm just going to make it as tight as possible. Sides. I'm just going to just lift this to show. Okay, so it is just gotten nicely pressed, right? And it is quite soft, but then that will get firmed up only after it is baked. What questions do you have? Butter brand, anything is fine, definitely. Whatever is easily available. Now, I'm not brand specific most of the times. Whatever is easily available is what I prefer. Obviously, what you can do, Amul or Arvin or things like that, which are quite easily available. And definitely unsalted butter for anything in baking is unsalted butter. Now that is done, and then the next one will be Oreo. And that is for the Oreo's flavor, which is cookies and cream is what we call it. Like I said, it is one whole Oreo cookie, and you can buy the one with the white cream in between or chocolate cream in between. It doesn't matter. It's just a preference. pressing it. Okay, and now again, you just want to be sure about the weight and don't want to do random. Like I said, because you need to keep it consistent, low battery. So I'm going to do 10 grams. This is going to be for the coffee, the creme brulee, the strawberry and the DDL. So when you are doing the exact same thing, but try and keep it to the measurements. So you know that you're not going to do differently. So the flavor and the exact experience of eating a cheesecake is just going to be like really very nice. I'm going to press it again from the edges so it looks clean. But you can also remove the paper and then, you know, arrange this cheesecake with the sides shown as well, because these are paper liners and you can peel them easily. Or then you can also send it out for orders with the paper liners as well. So that's how it looks after it's pressed. It is soft, definitely. And that's the Oreo thing, right? Okay, so now I will be getting the help from the kitchen to fill. So all the other three is going to be this particular biscuit layer, which is nothing but the digestive biscuit and butter, which is this one. There's nothing added in that, so there's nothing different. So all these three will be filled with this, which I will do at the back of the kitchen. And now the next thing, we will move on to doing chocolate cheesecakes main batter, which will be onto this one, coffee. Coffee is what we are going to do now. What would be the shelf life of these cheesecakes? I think 3-4 days freezer. 3-4 days in freezer should be quite fine. And obviously, it needs to be thawed down, or if you need it immediately, what we have tried and tested here is to take it out and then microwave for about a bit, or allow it to thaw down in the room temperature until, because it is a cold dessert, definitely, it needs to be eaten directly from the fridge. It cannot be there in the room temperature. It's not like a regular cake. Obviously, it is all the time from the fridge and eat it cold. Now, to store, to increase the shelf life, cling wrap and then freeze it. And then 4-5 days, they are quite fine. Yes. So I'm just getting in the ingredients for the coffee. We will be making 2 cups for the coffee. I'm going to use a hand beater because it is a smaller portion. Coffee one, like I said, because I want the sipping to be done. Now, this is the sour cream, like basically the fresh cream that is after delivering. Should I ask the customer to chill and consume? Yes, ask them to, because see, it depends on the travel time. If it's 15 minutes to half an hour, they can directly eat because they're going to send it from the fridge directly. And if they're going to eat it later, obviously you have to let them know it has to go into the fridge and then eat it directly from the fridge. Now this is the sour cream. Like I said, it is the blue Amul fresh cream, 25% fat. If you have a 30% fat, you can still use, but I do not have access to the 30% fat fresh cream. So I'm quite good with the 25% blue Amul fresh cream. And lime is added to curdle it a bit to call it sour cream. You can buy sour cream if you want. Now, this is the fresh cream. And to this is where I'm going to add the instant coffee powder and allow it to seep. I'm going to have this fresh cream microwaved. So now the rest of the ingredients, so this is going to go with the this one, the instant coffee powder is going to go with the warm fresh cream. In the meantime, I have the cream cheese. Brand is Delecta because that is easily available and I like how it turns out. The Britannia one, I like the Delecta better than the Britannia. How, how long should it rest? 5 minutes should be fine. How much of lime would we add to this quantity of 1/4 teaspoon of lime juice to the fresh cream to make it sour cream. Now this is the microwaved cream. You have the spoon. So you can see the cream and then to that I'm going to add the instant coffee powder. And show the top. Top. So this particular instant coffee powder going into warm liquid is important, and that is why making instant coffee is like, you know, you always do it with hot milk, and otherwise the coffee is just not going to be great, right? So just make sure no lumps and the instant coffee is getting mixed up. No lumps. So this is just the place of fresh cream, right? And that is why this alone needs to be done separately, because the fresh cream itself takes the coffee. Coffee is mixed with fresh cream. Yeah, I microwaved the fresh cream, say 10 seconds, and then made it warm. And then I am adding the instant coffee powder into warm fresh cream. And then it is mixed up, and then I'm going to set this one aside. So that is the only change of step. Now, I have the bigger bowl. I explained the rest of the ingredients, right? So this is the cream cheese, Delecta brand, and then I have the fresh cream into which I have top cream cheese here. The coffee infused fresh cream is here, and then I have the sour cream, and then I will add the sugar, and then I will add the eggs. When you are doing the eggless version, in place of egg, you will have curd, and then we have the vanilla extract, and using pure vanilla is important to have like a really nice flavor. If you're not using it, it's fine. You can use any preferred artificial vanilla of your choice, and then little bit of flour, and that will be the last thing. So all this goes in order, getting beaten up one after the other. So into the bowl, first goes cream cheese. And beating is like there is no overbeating involved, just that everything gets soft after each one and then gets incorporated well. To this, the coffee infused cream goes. Now try and incorporate all that is measured, because here the measurement matters. I just want to mix this up before I go into beating. So this kind of color from the coffee doesn't even, you don't get that if you're not going to warm up the cream. If you're going to add the instant coffee powder directly, this infusion does not happen as much as we have added that to the warm cream. But otherwise, the measurements for the fresh cream is all the same, except that coffee comes into picture. I'm going to beat this. Into this, the sour cream goes. Beating that. We're going to use a spatula. Mix it up. Scrape down into this. So hope you're having the recipe card as well to follow. Sugar goes in using caster sugar. It's better that way because the granulated sugar these days has like quite a bigger granules and then it just gets a little tougher. Can you please suggest a pure vanilla essence? See, Sprig has one. Fab also has a real vanilla. Goodness vanilla is really nice. And then what we use is an imported brand from the US, Nielsen and Massey. Vanilla bean paste or vanilla extract is what we use. Sugar's done and then egg. Obviously now if you're going to measure egg that says you certain grams, obviously you take a whole egg and then you beat that with a fork and combine the white and the yolk together, and out of which you take the measurement. So you need to break the eggs before you have a measurement that does not call for like one whole egg. A simple beating together with a fork is enough. Like maybe like an omelette, how do? You just break it up. I'm just going to beat. How much curd? See, the eggless recipe will be separately shared with you. It is not a replacement of the egg alone. The measurements are itself a bit different and that will be updated into the recipe document and then shared with you. Can I use homemade powdered sugar? Homemade powdered sugar is what? Use your own granulated sugar and then powder it in the mixie and use. I think it is okay. But if you're sure, see, certain things are like a bit finicky desserts. And then when the recipe calls for caster sugar, it is always better to just find caster sugar and then use, because only if there are times when you don't have access to that specific ingredient, then I wouldn't just use it at all. But this question keeps coming. Can I powder the sugar and use? Then I have to be telling the difference between the regular sugar, even if like for the coffees and all. I mean, like seeing like really big granules. And then the disadvantage of powdering it in the mixie and using the caster sugar has even granule sizes all throughout the entire sugar portion that you're using, right? But then when you are going to process the sugar, it's sometimes a part of the sugar, just all the granules just goes away. But there are places where there are bigger granules as well. Now, when a particular sugar is added into a recipe and then you're going to beat it up, you want the granules to be of same size. So as you beat, there is aeration that will happen. When you beat, the size of the granules reduce, and in that specific area is where the air gets inside that particular batter. Now, if you're going to process it ourselves, there are places where there is like completely fine, which is like powder. And then there are places where there are bigger granules, and inconsistent sizes of the granules comes into picture when you are going to process it yourself. And for that reason, I completely want people to avoid them. When the recipe calls for caster sugar, buy caster sugar. And we are bakers, and when we get into finicky recipes and desserts like this, we have to be having the specific ingredient and then use them as the recipe calls for. Now, sour cream is something that I can do it myself with the fresh cream that is available. But for caster sugar means it is caster sugar. And for sour cream, maybe it is expensive, I'm not sure, but I don't prefer buying a sour cream to use it in place of sour cream in a recipe, but I can replace that with fresh cream and lime. But for caster sugar in places, I prefer using caster sugar, and that's the reason explained. Now, egg is added, I'm going to beat. So you can observe the time of beating each of them is like a minute to two. That is all. Okay, so now I have the flour, and then I'm just going to drop the flour. And then I want to beat this, because just by folding, I may leave out some lumps. So first I'm just going to combine and then beat, but not too much. So this is the only place I don't want to overbeat after the addition of flour. So I'm done with the batter base. There's some splatter. I'm just cleaning up the table. Now, as this is going to give me 2, right? So I have about, this 2 will be for coffee, and then I will do 2 creme brulee, and then we have the other 4. Spatula or spoon? So I'm going to fill these 2. You can just fill this in a piping bag. So you can just also easily fill it up. Let me see, using a spoon. I'm going to divide this between the 2. So coffee cheesecake batter. Now, once you have the batter, you don't want to allow it to rest, because it is going to sink. So once you filled up, it goes into the oven and get baked. There is going to be toppings for each of them to add to the deliciousness, and that will happen after the baking. Now this is going to go into the oven and get baked. Okay, so now as this is going to get baked, I will take this out and then I will have this to bake for the other 5 versions. But this will go into the oven to get baked at 180 degrees, 160 for about 20 to 25 minutes. But the catch is to actually shake them from the oven, like after 20 minutes, take it out to check if the jiggling is happening on the sides. So now you can see the actual batter jiggle is happening, right? And just turn it this way. Jiggle is there, but this is non-baked batter that is jiggling. But then you want the baked version also to have a jiggle just in the middle. Otherwise, it's going to be overbaked, and then overbaked cheesecakes are not good at all. So you will stop when the jiggle is there in between. Just the outside edge is firmed up and the middle part is still jiggly. Take it out, and then that goes into the fridge or freezer for about half an hour to 1 hour or 2 hours to make them stable before you are actually allowed to cut. And this goes baking water bath, right? So we have a tray. So now this has to go to baking immediately, right? Now this needs to go into a water bath. We're going to have like a tray, and then we need to use hot water, right? Now I'm just going to show now and not pour the water. Now I will have the black tray. Because you can't really carry the tray with the hot water inside. So basically, I'm just going to show how you can do the water bath. But obviously, the cheesecakes have to get baked in water bath and in a oven like yours, and then water also. Now you have a bigger tray like that, okay? And you place this cheesecake tray into the bigger tray, and you need to pour in the water on this tray, and that water is boiling water. Now, what I usually prefer doing, drop this tray into the oven first, okay? So this entire, so you're able to hold this in your hand and then be able to handle it. If you pour the water right here and then carry it into the oven, then you will not be able to hold this because it will be warm, or you can use your oven mitt, and if you're able to do, quite fine. What I prefer doing, drop this into the oven and drag it out a bit and then pour the water on the edge. Now, I am going to pour, but then I will be removing it out. Can I have like another measuring cup or something? So I have the hot water here when that's too heavy. Now, like I said, don't pour it right away, but I'm going to show where to pour if you put it in the oven. Now, drop this into the oven, and then I'm going to pour water in the tray. So that gets baked in water bath. And after you take it out, like I said, it needs to jiggle. I'll try and see if it just happens in between the live. I will just take it out, or I will take it out of the oven and at least take a video. We'll do that when it is jiggling from the oven. The place when you need to stop. If I'm not able to show it in the live, then I will take a video from the oven and put it up in the WhatsApp group for you to know where exactly you need to stop baking, because that is very important. Now, we are having the sides, the water, and where to pour. So you will just have enough water into the tray here. And that is a bigger tray. The water is like, you can see the steam, it is quite hot. And obviously you need an oven mitt to handle if you're going to pour it like how I'm doing it now. But it will be hot to handle. Now, like I said, drop this into the oven, pull this tray out, and then add the water. It's not hot here yet. So I think you can see there is water here in this tray, and then this is gotten hot. Okay, this is in between, and that is baking in water bath. So now this goes into the oven to get baked at 160 degrees for about 20 to 25. So the 20, what are you going to check? Check the outer rim of the cheesecake, whether it is firm, middle jiggly, and stop baking, take it out. And take only this tray out, and that tray itself goes into the freezer to get firmed up for 2 hours, and only after which it is ready for us to cut and eat. But the stage that we need to check is to get jiggly. This alone gets baked first. While this goes into the oven, I'm going to work on the other 5 flavors. I think we can handle this. It's not quite. One is done, but we couldn't actually capture the jiggly because there were just 2. It got baked in 10 minutes. So obviously the bigger portion where you have like 6 or 8 of them going into the oven in water bath takes about 20 minutes. So this one stops at 10, but then I'm just going to take it out. It is quite warm. Texture mean top we can show. So you can see it is like quite soft, but then it is firm, right? So now this is not the right stage now to eat. So this will go into the freezer. Like I said, 2 hours, after which before the end of the session, we'll be able to just take it out to put the topping and all that. The other, all the 6 of them that I put now has gone into the freezer. There's 6 of them, right? So we'll keep watching from 15 minutes and then we can just take it out. Because all of us are just held up one behind each camera. We are not able to just capture the exact jiggliness of when that will stop. That we will try and do that. Now, this goes into freezer. The question says approximately weight of 1 baked cheesecake. See, the base alone is 10 grams. Okay, and then we are aiming up to having the cheesecake batter 50 grams. And wherever there is additional strawberry compote and then the DDL coming picture, the batter will be 40 and then additional flavor will be like 10. So totally is like 10 plus 50 is the aim, and then the total thing will be 60 and some loss of weight in baking. So 55 to 60 will be the total weight. There is going to be topping again. So 60, 65 will be the weight. Now I have all the ingredients which is exactly the same as the coffee thing, except that the fresh cream does not have coffee here and the portions are more. But then if you're going to do coffee itself, like in so many numbers, double up the measurements, and this will make 6 cheesecakes for me. Okay, so now you know the order. I'm going to have cream cheese into the bowl first and then beating for a minute or so after every other ingredient, and you know the order. So you just need it soft. Just adjust the brightness. Okay, it's just soft. I'm just going to use just no lumps and then soft enough. Okay, that is all you need to beat. It'll just take a minute. You can also do that using a KitchenAid. Then cream. Beating. sour cream. And someone asked if you could use vinegar in place of lime, you can. The same measurement. Sour cream and then beat again. Scrape down the sides. Then sugar goes in. That's caster sugar again. Yes. Beat on high speed. I mean, medium speed should be fine. The sugar is taken about 2 minutes, right? And then goes the egg. Like I said, if the measured egg is like giving you in grams, you break a whole egg, use a fork, and then just break them all together, the yolk and the white. After which you take the weight of the egg. Beating. Egg needs a good amount of incorporation. So, like about a minute. A good beating on medium high speed for about a minute. I'm scraping down the sides, and then the last one will be the flour. Just going to sprinkle the flour. Okay, and then I'm just going to first mix it up, but I'm going to use the beater because you don't want lumps. Just moisten up the flour. Beat this. And just when you see no lumps, you're good to go. scrape it down. So now I'm just going to use a weighing scale, like I said, a bit precise. I think I missed away the vanilla. I'm just going to fold it in. I need spoons and a few other bowls to mix chocolate and Oreo thing. I think I just take this one. For the cream brulee, I'll do a 50 on this. I'm going to have 2 cream brulee. Cream brulee is just the original one. You don't have to do the sugar. But then that is a bit fancy, right? So calling it cream brulee. So we just put the sugar on the top and then torch it. So 50 goes there. So I'm just going to carefully lift this and then place it back into the liner. One more. So that's all 50 and 50 for cream brulee. And now I'll do the DDL and the strawberry. The Oreo and the chocolate needs a little more mixing with it, which I'll do at the end. Now for this, I'm going to do a 40 because 10 I'll use DDL or the strawberry, which is an additional solid flavoring that I'm going to add, which is going to add weight. Then I will reduce a little bit of spillover I have done. So I'll just maybe make it to 43 here, which is like, there is some spillover there. Let me try to wipe that to see how much I wasted. Now 42. That's 41 right now, which is fine. Now, into this, I have given the recipe of strawberry compote. I have the strawberry compote here in a piping bag. I'm just going to go in and then insert a pipe in the compote. So that's fresh strawberries and compote made, okay, which is this one. I'm just going to chop off. You don't need a nozzle. I'm going to keep it on the weighing scale. Right, that's like 41 right now. I'll just go in. It's 43, 44, 45, 47, and go up to 50 again. 49, 50. You can use a toothpick to swirl it, or you can just leave it as it is. So there'll be blobs of strawberry. A simple swirl is enough, so the flavor is just distributed all around. And carefully lifting this, so the overall total has come down to 50, right? drop this again, and then I have the DDL. So who knows how to make a DDL, who is made already? Maybe you can just comment and say, if there's someone who's like, no, I've never made it all, we have the recipe given, or then I can verbally also explain. So that's the DDL, a little bit for that extra 10 grams is there. Now, again, so how much do you think I should put on the weighing scale? That you know what I did to strawberry, we'll be adding a 40, right? That's again a 41. Okay, and then I'm just going to chop this DDL. Done earlier, caramelized condensed milk. Yes, have never made it. Okay, that's caramelized condensed milk. So you put the condensed milk tin unopened inside a pressure pan filled with water to the level of the tin, and then put the vent, right, that on the top, and let the steam keep coming out. Like how do you pressure cook your dal or your chana, anything like that for that matter, right? Let the steam come out on high for 3 whistles. That's what I do. On 3 whistles on high, and then make it simmer, and then leave it out for 30 minutes and don't count any steam that keeps coming out. 30 minutes, and then switch it off. Let it cool and the pressure gone. Take out the vent and then remove. You have the tin that is quite hot. Allow it to cool down. And once it completely cools, then remove to check your condensed milk turning into this particular color, and that is not in the liquid state, but it is in a scoopable state. Now I have a 41 there with a piping bag, just going inside, squeezing. Just at 42. I need to go up to 50. And this is a pretty dense mixture, unlike the strawberry compote. That's a 45 right now. 46. 47. 49. And a 50. I'll use a toothpick. I'll drop this into its place. And now I have the chocolate one. And before I let the batter come in, I have just for this sealed can. Yeah, sealed can only you have to use for DDL. Dulce de leche is what you call it. Now, for the chocolate, I usually prefer mixing up dark and milk chocolate. You can see that it's like an extreme. Just for 1 cup, I have the quantities mentioned also, and that is what I have used. This is the milk, and then this is the dark. Okay, so that's the chocolate I have. And then I'm going to add a bit of milk. Measurement is given. So to the milk and dark chocolate, I add the milk, and then I'm going to microwave this. So that combines together into one. And in the meantime, I'm just going to measure 40 grams into this. May I know the chocolate brands? I use Van Houten. Van Houten chocolate. So into this, I'm going to tare and then add 40. Because I have the chocolate mixture also coming up. So 40 cheesecake mixture is added. And that entire milk chocolate, dark chocolate, and the milk mixture microwaved will be mixed up and then added into this. Okay, in the meantime, I need another one. I mean, like they are extremely bigger bowls, which are not ideally necessary because the portions that I'm going to use is quite less. To this, another 40. That is for the Oreo. Now, I think Oreo is not much, so I'll do a 50 for Oreo. So for 50 goes in for Oreo. I have the Oreo biscuit crushed and kept. Now, this is the 40. Chocolate brand name, you can type VANHOUTEN. Van Houten. VANHOUTEN. Okay, so into this, which is the 40 grams of the cream, the front went off. Which one went off? Side. Okay. So this is the chocolate. We show the sides. Van Houten is couverture only. There is no compound based on Van Houten. If you say Van Houten, the brand itself has only couverture. Only Morday has this Morday's couverture chocolate or Morday compound. That is where that difference is. Van Houten is always just plain couverture. You can show top. So I have this the chocolate and the milk, right? And that is my 40 grams of the cheesecake. So I'll get this entire chocolate milk mixture to flavor my cheesecake batter completely with chocolate and then mix it up. So I'm putting this back in place because it's already measured. So I'm going to take this. So the chocolate is gone. And then the very last one, which is this 50 grams of the cheesecake batter. And then I have the Oreo crushed going inside, mix it up. And then the last one. So now this is now ready to go into the oven. The same temperature, 160 degrees, 20 to 25 minutes. Like I said, the outside, all of these different flavors can go, but do not wait. Just drop it into the oven right away and wait for the edges to form up and the center is still jiggly. and then it needs to get baked in water bath. I'm not going to show that again because I'd already shown. Put this into a tray and then pour boiling water on that particular tray, and this will sit on the hot water, boiling water, and then it gets baked. And once you take it out, check for the jiggliness and then goes into the freezer 2 hours, after which we will be taking it out. Anywhere in between, I just have the stages of the completed ones. I'm going to take it out and then show it to you. So now this goes to the oven.